drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.
Hello students, welcome to ReadVidyaWorld.com, your online gateway to the world of invaluable knowledge. Let's continue with our discussion on the broad topic time value of money, under which we were discussing some key concepts of annuity and sinking fund creation during our last discussion. So before we may proceed with our discussion, let's go through a quick recap of the concepts which we talked about. We started with our discussion regarding annuity, under which we discussed that annuity is referred to series of equal cash flows taking place at the end of the year for a stipulated number of years down the line. From calculation point of view, we saw that the future value of an annuity is nothing but a sum total of the future value of annuity for the number of years ahead, but only after deducting 1 year from the n number of years for which they are required to be calculated. The reason is not very hard to understand. It was mainly due to the fact that since the payments are being made at the end of the year, so that year doesn't fetch any return. So the years in advance for which we need to calculate the future value of an annuity, that is always 1 year lesser than the year for which we need to calculate it. Then we saw that the future value of an annuity is a sum total of the future value of annuity of the individual years. One important thing which we stumbled upon was that the sequence which the future value of annuity follows is a geometric sequence, and the future value formula of annuity is also calculated in consonance with the geometric progression sum total calculation, and keeping in mind the final calculation or the final formula for the geometric sequence, we derived the formula of arriving at the future value for annuity calculation formula, under which we saw that the Fn or the future value of an annuity is equal to A within bracket 1 plus I raised to the power n minus 1 bracket close hole upon I. Then so far the application of annuity is concerned, we tried to understand with a couple of simple examples that how annuity is helping a particular investor or a corporation in accumulating a future amount. The investor becomes capable of knowing that if a recurring annual deposit is being made in a particular account or in a particular instrument in a particular bank FD against an predetermined I rate of interest, so how much the amount gets accumulated at the end of the nth year. One of the key applications of annuity which we tried to understand was in the case of the sinking fund, wherein we saw that sinking funds are the funds which are being created by individuals, by corporations, for meeting a definite liability or a financial commitment which is usually substantial in nature and which takes place, or rather which matures after a length of 10, 12, 15 years, which is usually after a long time frame. And sinking fund calculations actually help the individual or a corporation in lessening the financial burden, or rather, or spreading the entire financial burden, or spreading the financial commitment of paying off the liability across all the years for which the liability is alive in the balance sheet. So we saw that usually it is in the best interest of the corporations or individuals to transfer a fixed amount every year into a fund known as a sinking fund, which again is being reinvested into marketable securities, safe and highly liquid marketable securities, so that by the time the penultimate year, which is meant for the repayment of the liability with the principal along with the interest thereupon arrives, the finance manager comes in a position to sell off the marketable securities or liquidate the marketable securities in the market, in the secondary market, and realize the proceeds. And the proceeds which comes back into the firm, we have already seen that They are the actual principal which is coming in along with some of the interest which has been earned thereupon, and that proceeds are being used to pay off the liability, and whatever surplus amount is being left, it is either being transferred to a reserve or it is being kept in the sinking fund, which is being applied towards the payment of any future liability. They are the part of the free reserves lying with the firm. Now, in order to calculate the fixed amount which should be transferred to the sinking fund, we saw that that fixed amount is nothing but it is the annuity which the company or the individual has to calculate and transfer into the sinking fund so that the future amount can be accumulated, with the help of which the liability or the financial commitment can be met. So again, referring back to the existing formula, we found that in order to calculate the annuity, we just modify the existing formula which we used to calculate the future value of an annuity, which was Fn is equal to A within bracket 1 plus I raised to the power of n minus 1 bracket close whole upon I. From this mother formula, we simply solve for the A portion or the annuity portion, and with some basic rudimentary algebra, we arrived at how exactly the A is being calculated or the amount to be transferred at the end of the year into the sinking fund is being arrived at. Now students, this time we shall be discussing about another aspect of annuity known as annuity due. This is very simple concept. It's a very simple concept. It's quite easy to understand. The concept is almost the same like an annuity. Things are almost identical to that what we discussed in the annuity. The only difference is that in the case of annuity due, the cash flows do not take place at the end of the year, rather they take place at the beginning of the year. Students, this is the most pertinent point which we shall be discussing right now. Again, going back to the definition of annuity, we found that annuity refers to those cash flows which take place at the end of the year for a stipulated number of years down the line. Things are exactly the same in the case of annuity due as well, with the only exception that in the case of annuity due, the cash flows take place at the beginning of the year instead of taking place at the end of the year. I once again repeat, students, pay a rapt attention to me. It's a very simple concept. In the case of annuity, the cash flows took place at the end of the year, while in the case of annuity due, the cash flows take place at the beginning of the year, everything else being equal or everything else being same. It means under the case of annuity due, the cash flows take place or the cash outflows take place, but instead of taking place at the end of the year, they take place at the beginning of the year, and at the beginning of every year, that identical cash flow or a fixed amount of cash flow takes place for n number of years down the line. So the only difference between annuity and annuity due is that in the case of annuity, the cash flows take place at the end of the year, while in the case of annuity due, the cash flows take place at the beginning of the year. Now, you can go through the slide which is flashing in front of your eyes. Very simple thing. In case of an ordinary annuities, we saw that they represent the receipt or payment of such cash flows which occur during the end of the year. At times, it may so happen that the annuity cash flows may occur at the beginning of the year instead of taking place at the end. Such annuities which take place at the beginning of the year is known as the annuity due. This is the same thing which we discussed right now. Now, students, try to apply your common sense and try to think that what will be the implication, what may be the implication for such annuities which take place at the beginning of the year rather than taking place at the end of the year, thereby earning the name annuity due for themselves. My simple question is that try to imagine the implication of the cash flows or rather of the annual cash flows or the annuity cash flows which takes place at the beginning of the year. What might happen? How exactly the future accumulated cash flows arising out of annuity due is going to be affected with this particular feature of annuity due? The feature which I'm talking about is that instead of the cash flows taking place at the fag end of the year, they're taking place at the start of the year. So how might the future accumulated amount or the future accumulated sum total of the annual cash flows may be affected. How might it may be affected if the cash flows are taking place at the beginning of the year? If you pay some attention, if you take a very surgical look at the entire matter, you will find that this is not very hard to comprehend. It's a very simple concept. In the case of annuity, my dear students, we saw that since it is taking place at the end of the year, in order to calculate the future value of an annuity, we were taking the time period as n-1. This was this feature along with the feature of the first term that is called A and the common ratio that was 1 plus I. We came to a conclusion that the sequence followed by the annuity future value sum total is that followed by the geometric sequence wherein an is equal to a r raised to the power n-1. So why n-1? Because since the cash flows were taking place at the end of the year, so that particular year could not earn any return on the cash invested or the annuity invested. Rather, the successive years lesser than the year in which the investment has been made, rather the year end at which the annual investment has been made is taken into consideration. But in the case of an annuity due, since the cash flows are taking place at the beginning of the year itself, obviously it goes without saying that even that period or that year in which the cash flows are being invested in an annuity at the beginning of the year also fetches a return on such investments. Let me make myself very clear, students. Let's pay attention to this. In the case of an annuity, we saw that the calculation of n was actually n-1. Why was the number of years lesser by 1 year? Because the cash flows were being committed at the end of the year, which meant that those cash flows could not earn any return upon themselves. So only those cash flows which was growing in size in the successive years means n-1th year, those cash flows used to grow into a future amount. And this thing happened which every passing year. So every passing year was n-1. 1 year was lessened. It was lessened because that particular year could not earn any return because it was towards the end of those years that the commitment was being made. But this is not the case in annuity due. Since in the case of annuity due, the payments are being made at the start of the year itself, so that year doesn't get wasted. Rather, the year or the beginning of the year wherein the cash flows are being committed in the form of an annuity earns a return upon themselves. So that particular year at the beginning of which the annuity is being made, that year too earns a return or an interest upon itself. Of course, it goes without saying that that interest increases on a compounding note, that is a compound interest. But the main feature which distinguishes the annuity due with from an annuity is that in the case of annuity, the future value is n-1, while in the case of an annuity, that particular year is also taken into consideration in which the annual commitment is being made. It is so because the year in which the annual commitment is being made, such a commitment is being made at the beginning of the year and not at the end of the year. And since this cash outflow is taking place at the beginning of the year, the start of the year, so that particular year too fetches a return on the annual investment or the annuity investment along with the investments from the same annuity for the successive n number of years. So in the case of an annuity, 1 year was less because investment was made in the end of the year, while in the case of annuity due, that year also fetches a return because the investment, instead of being made at the end of the year, it is being made at the start of the year. I hope this concept is very clear, students. It is not at all difficult to understand. It is a very simple concept. In the case of an annuity, 1 year was lessened because the investment was made at the end of the year, while in the case of annuity due, that 1 year is not lessened. Why? Because the annuity dues are being invested not at the end of the year but at the beginning of the year, the start of the year, which means that that particular year should also earn a return upon the annuity invested for that full stretch of the year. So on and so forth. And this process continues to take place till the time the annuity due is committed to be made for the stipulated number of n years. So if it is the annuity due is required to be or meant to be taken place for the next 5 years, so the interest will be earned for the entire first year, for the entire second year, for the entire third year, for the entire fourth year, as well as the entire fifth year. Now, once again, let's have a look at this. From calculation point of view, annuity due, unlike ordinary annuities, earn an interest for one additional period since the receipt or payment of cash flows occur at the beginning of the year. Once again, from calculation point of view, annuity due, unlike ordinary annuities, earn interest for one additional period since the receipt or payment of cash flows occur at the beginning of the year. Now, again, a simple diagrammatic representation. The concept of future value of an annuity due can be easily understood with the help of the following diagrammatic representation. You can see that since the cash flows are being made at the beginning of the year, suppose again we are finding that there is a timeline, whereas the time frame is that of n is equal to 4 for 4 years, but instead of the investments being made at the end of the year, the same is being made at the beginning of the year. So when a $1 is being invested at the start of the year, the $1 grows up to 1 plus I to the power of 4. Just a quick recap, students. Had it been the case of an annuity, so instead of raised to the power 4, the n would have been raised to the power 3, because in the case of annuity, this $1 instead of being invested at the beginning of the year would have been invested at the end of the year, and since it has been invested at the end of the year, it would have grown for the next 3 years alone, only the next 3 years. Therefore, it would have been 1 within bracket 1 plus I to the power of 3. $2, had it been invested at the end of the year, would have been grown for 1 plus I to the power of 2, which in effect means that 1 within bracket 1 plus I raised to the power n minus 1. But in the case of annuity due, this is not the case. Rather, in the case of annuity due, the $1 has been invested at the beginning of the year. The second $1 has been invested at the beginning of the second year. The first dollar has been invested at the beginning of the third year. And in the fourth year, the $1 has been invested at the beginning of the fourth year. So, the $1 invested at the beginning of the fourth year earns a return for the entire stretch of the fourth year. So, raised to the power 4 means $1 increases by I% compounded annually for the first year, for the entire second year, for the entire third year, for the entire fourth year. So, the future value is 1 within bracket 1 plus I raised to the power of 4. Same thing in the case of the second cash outflow in forms of annuity due. Since the $1 is being invested at the beginning of the year, so the $1 increases by I% for the entire second year, for the entire third year, for the entire fourth year, thereby representing the formula as 1 within bracket 1 plus I raised to the power 3. For the case of the third year, the same concept follows. The 1 year has been deposited at the beginning of the year. That's why it grows for the full third year and the full fourth year, which is being represented by 1 within bracket 1 plus I to the power of 2. Last but not the least, the first dollar invested at the beginning of the fourth year grows to 1 full year. In the case of an annuity, since the $1 is being invested at the end of the year, it couldn't grow. So the $1 remained $1 itself. So it would have been 1 within bracket 1 plus I to the power of 0. But since it is an annuity due and since the payment is being made at the beginning of the year, it is growing by 1 within bracket 1 plus I to the power of 1. So what exactly we are finding? That in the case of an annuity due, since the cash flows are taking place at the beginning of the year, so that particular year is also taken into consideration while calculating the sum total of the future value of the annuity due. So that year is also taken into consideration. Why? Because that year 2 yields an additional revenue for 1 full year only by virtue of the fact that the investment is made at the beginning of the year. I hope this simple discussion is clear with each one of you. The representation shows that the future value of an annuity due shall be more than the future value of an annuity because an extra income has been earned for 1 full year. This goes without saying. Under the case of an annuity due, the sum total of the future value of the annuity due is bound to be more than the sum total of the future value of an annuity, just because of the fact that in the case of an annuity due, an additional interest for 1 full year is being earned across n number of years, or across the stipulated time frame of n number of years. This discussion is pretty simple, students. Now let's talk about the formula part. The formula used for calculating the future value of an ordinary annuity can be slightly modified to arrive at the formula for calculating the future value of an annuity due. Obviously, it goes without saying the same formula which we applied for calculating the future value of an annuity can be used for calculating the future value of an annuity due. Now, the formula for the future value of an annuity due is Fn is equal to A within bracket 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1 bracket close whole upon I multiplied by 1 plus I. So students, you may very well see that the entire mother formula remains the same. Only an additional 1 plus I is being used as a suffix in the actual mother formula for calculating the future value of an annuity. I once again repeat, the formula just remains the same, with the only exception that in the case of an future value of an annuity due, an additional 1 plus I is being used as a suffix to the mother formula, which is being used for calculating the future value of an annuity. So the future value of an annuity says that Fn is equal to A within bracket 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1 bracket close whole upon I, and the moment the feature of annuity due creeps in, the formula changes to Fn is equal to A within bracket 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1 bracket close whole upon I multiplied by 1 plus I. Now the question arises, why is it so that 1 plus I is being incorporated in the mother formula in the case of an annuity due? Can you figure it out, students? Of course, it is very simple. I once again repeat my question. Why is it so that the term 1 plus I is being incorporated in the original formula or the mother formula used for calculating the future value of an annuity in order to arrive at the formula for calculating the future value of an annuity due? So students, it is very easy to understand. There are two reasons for that. The first reason being 1 plus I, we have seen earlier also that since it is safely presumed that the interest rate which is being used in order to calculate the future value of an annuity or annuity due is compounding every year. With every passage of year, it is compounding. So when it is compounding, we have already seen that under the compound interest formula where exactly we are getting the term 1 plus I. Once again, a quick recap, it was P plus P into I, wherein P was taken common, we are left with 1 plus I. This 1 plus I refers to the earning of interest through compounding interest formula, and since in the case of an annuity due, one more year is being used in order to calculate the interest on the annuity, it means that since in the case of annuity due, interest or the compound interest is earned for one additional year, therefore the term 1 plus I has been incorporated, or it has been used as a suffix in the original formula used for calculating the future value of an annuity. So the basic idea or the basic purpose which is being solved by incorporating 1 plus I in the mother formula is just to drive home the point, is just to establish the fact that the moment 1 plus I is being added or it is being incorporated in the original formula of annuity, the formula converts into an annuity due rather than being the case of an ordinary annuity. So conceptually also we see, since there is an additional income for one full year under annuity due, comma, we are using the term 1 plus I. 1 is being used because it is a case of an compound interest. The earnings or the interest rate is increasing compoundedly under every year. And number 2, by incorporating 1 plus I in the original or in the mother formula of calculation of future value of an annuity, we are in a position to establish the fact that it is no longer serving the purpose of calculating the future value of an annuity, but the incorporation of 1 plus I in the mother formula shows the formula or restructures the formula which is being used for calculating the future value of an annuity due. So the incorporation of 1 plus I simply highlights the point that compound interest for one additional year is being earned under the case of your annuity due. This is the reason why we incorporate 1 plus I as a suffix to the mother formula for calculation of an annuity. So an ordinary annuity converts into annuity due the moment 1 plus I, an additional 1 plus I is introduced in the mother formula which is being used for calculating the future value of an annuity. Now the explanation has been given over here, students. A new term 1 plus I has been included in the existing formula of future value of an annuity to represent the interest earned for one additional year, and this interest earned is always compounded. Now students, just simple example or illustration which will make you understand the entire concept very easily. The following illustration shall help in a better understanding of the concept of future annuity due. Mr. Jerry wishes to deposit a sum of 20,000 USD at the start of every year for the next 7 years into an account fetching him an interest rate of 12% compounded annually. calculate the amount Mr. Jerry shall be accumulating at the end of the 7 years. So going by the question, we know that all the variables are provided to us, and we can easily understand the theme of the question or the heart of the question, which says that Mr. Jerry, instead of making the payments at the end of the year, the annuity payment at the end of the year, he is choosing to make the payments at the beginning of the year itself, which qualifies, or rather which satisfies the condition for application of the concept or the formula of annuity due, rather than sticking to the existing concept of an ordinary annuity. This is not the condition, this is not the case of an ordinary annuity. Since Mr. Jerry is committed towards making the payment at fixed annual payment at the beginning of the year, this theme converts from an ordinary annuity to an annuity due. So in terms of the variables, we are having the information that Mr. Jerry shall be depositing 20,000 USD at the beginning of every year, and his required rate of return is 12% compounded annually, and the time frame or the stipulated time frame is 7 years. So since it is an annuity due, we shall be using the formula. So we are having the A, we are having N is equal to 7 years, and we are having the I, that is 12% compounded annually. So applying the formula, Fn A within bracket 1 plus I to the power of N minus 1 bracket close whole upon I multiplied by 1 plus I. So this 1 plus I represents the additional compound interest earned for 7 years against 20,000 USD, which has been deposited at the beginning of every year. So just putting the values, putting the variables at their respective places, we can solve it. Fn becomes 20,000 within bracket 1 plus 0.12 to the power of 7 minus 1 0.12 into 1 plus 0.12. So further simplification leads us to 2.221. What is this 2.221? 2.221 is nothing but it is the future compounded value of a lump sum for $1 against an interest rate of 12% per annum compounded for the next 7 years. So Fn is equal to 20,000 within bracket 2.211 minus 1 upon 0.12 multiplied by 1.12. So it is, since 1.12 has been raised for 1 year, that is the power becomes 1. So when anything whose in any base whose power becomes 1 becomes the base itself. So 20,000 into 10.99. 10.9 how? It is the simplification of 2.211 minus 1 upon 0.12. So 20,000 into 0.09 multiplied by 1.12, which shall eventually give us $2,26,016 at the end of the 7th year. Thus, Mr. Jerry shall be accumulating a sum of $2,26,016 USD at the end of the 7th year, growing at the rate of 12% compounded annually. Now, instead of annuity due, if it would have been the case of an ordinary annuity, wherein Mr. Jerry would have invested the amount of 20,000 into an annuity, not an annuity due, for the next 7 years, fetching a return of 12% compounded, it would somehow look like the ordinary annuity, wherein Fn will be 20,000 into 1.12 to the power of 7 minus 1 whole upon 0.12. So 20,000 into 2.11 minus 1 upon 0.12 would have given him 2,01,833 USD. So there is a difference. Under the case of annuity due, his total proceeds is, or the total accumulated amount on the annuity due happens to be 2,26,016 USD, while in the case of an ordinary annuity, had it been the case of an ordinary annuity, investments would have grown up to the amount of 2,01,833 USD. So thus we see that under annuity due, the amount accumulated is more as compared to the ordinary annuity by the difference is 24,183. So thus this difference is because of the fact that under annuity due, one extra income is earned for one additional year through the entire stretch of the 7 years for which Mr. Jerry has chosen to deposit his money as an annuity due rather than opting for an ordinary annuity. And since Mr. Jerry has been depositing 20,000 USD for at the beginning of the year, that one additional year fetches him the interest for the next years, and any annuity due which is being deposited at the beginning of the second year earns him the full interest for the second year as well. So the compound interest which Mr. Jerry is enjoying on an annuity due is always 1 year more than what he would have enjoyed in the case of an ordinary annuity. That's all for today, students. I hope that this concept of annuity due is now very clear to you. It is a very simple concept, but a very interesting and important one. Hope you have enjoyed the session. Looking forward to meet you in the next session with some more interesting concepts. Goodbye, students. Happy learning.